Hola, my friends. How are you? I hope you're doing deliciously, delightfully wonderful today on Friday. I love Friday. You know what? It's almost the end of the month. And I'm like, I feel like February just started not too long ago. And now it's like, almost gone. And then it like blew me away when I was like, oh my God, Tuesday is Fat Tuesday. And then that means Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. And that means that Lent has begun. Oh shit, I'm not supposed to do those during the day. Crap. I can't help it. I love the smell of sage. But they all think I smoke pot in the building when I burn sage. Which, I do smoke pot, but just not in the building. I don't smoke pot in the building. Not flower, at least. But, hey, so let's do the Palo Santo, because I think everybody just needs some clear those cooties. All that shit that's in the news, and Ukraine and Putin and planes and bombs, and Kim Jong-un said this, and I don't know, I'm just like sitting back and just going, y'all need to figure this one out, because we're going to sit over here and be a part of peace, love, and harmony. And let's see, seeing if I can find the deck I want to use. I have like several decks over here on top of my table. No, I do not want to use Language of Flowers. We're not in the flowery mood. Well, yeah, I am kind of in a flowery mood, but not that kind of flowery mood. So we're going to go with, these are Sacred Earth Oracle cards. I like these. I think they look kind of cool. And we're going to utilize these today in today's reading for the weekend. This is a weekend energy forecast. Now, I just had one on Instagram, and I used the spellcasting deck, and it was really indicating about putting a lot of protection on yourself. And, so right now we've got a lot of volatile energy, which I think you've probably seen if you've been watching the news. We've got a lot of craziness going on over in Eastern Europe. And so we need to be kind of thinking about ourselves here for a moment and putting on our own protection, our own white light, and bringing ourselves into balance. I posted something up earlier, and I was like, we have to understand that journalism, people and journalists, that they are really not there to report the news. They are there to report what's happening in a matter or in a fashion that brings or incites an emotion within you, so that in essence you kind of pick your spot or pick your side, whatever. So in this time, in this weekend, ask for clarity. Ask for, when you're doing your meditations, ask for truth. Ask for authenticity in what's happening around you, so that you can read through what I call the lies by omission. They don't tell you the whole story. They're only going to tell you what they want you to know. And that's just anybody, any place, anything. If they have an agenda that's hidden, narcissists have hidden agendas. They're not going to tell you what their hidden agenda is, especially if it's something to bamboozle you. So, in my meditations, I like to ask for authenticity. What is the authenticity of this situation? What, because I could say, what's really going on? And it's still going to be about perception. It will be about perception. But when you say, show me authentically what's happening, you receive a whole different picture of what's happening, because it's more of this authentic. It's kind of like when you talk to a little kid. Little kids don't embellish. When they, it's like, if they don't like something, they'll tell you they don't like it. If they love something, they will tell you that they love it. If there's something that's off about it, a little kid's going to tell you what's off about something. and send it in that direction and send it through that way. So let's kind of think of it in that way of let's be authentic to who we are and what we're doing, where we're going, how we're feeling, and embracing that. She's not very talkative, is she? So, maybe that's not the deck I need to use today. Okay, I'm not getting anything out of this deck. Hey, how are you? I'm not getting anything out of that deck. So, let's see. Okay. Let's use this deck and see what we have here. Okay, and this is that tarot deck, you know, that one that somebody brought by and had left it, and I don't know. Somebody brings me a deck, gave it to me. I can't remember where I got it from, who gave it to me. Hey, Stacy. But I like this deck, and that's the one that I was trying to use the Sacred Earth Oracle, and it just like wouldn't give me any. Okay, here we go. Okay, all right, 1, 2, 3. Don't go away. Look at that cool wall hanging. Okay, so we've got a couple there, and hey, and there's some that are, oh shush. Okay, we have like a whole bunch of cards here. I guess we're gonna go with this. It's like lunchtime, so make sure you got your little snack or your drink. And I'm like, mine's all out there. But I'm not gonna go walking out there to go get it and come back in. But make sure you got. I'm gonna do. I recommend, Stacy, I'm not going to tell you what to buy and what not to buy, but get an Oracle deck for your first deck. Oracle decks are in my opinion, a lot easier to use. And the reason being is that Oracle decks have a little bit more room, what I call for interpretation, than a tarot deck. Because, you know, tarot decks are kind of written where every wand card, every 3 of wands is going to have the same meaning of every deck. Whereas a oracle deck, I think you can use a little bit more of the Carl Jung philosophy in it and allow that picture to kind of jog your memory. Now, I will say this, that I have read tarot decks before that I'd look at the card and I'm like, that's not really what it means or saying to me, you know, like what the book might say or what our things might say. But then when I place it with other cards, I'm like, oh, I get it. So, all right, our energy that's coming in, we're looking at this 2 of Wands. And the 2 of Wands has a lot of the energy or the story, the feeling behind that is about sitting back and contemplating where you're going, what you're doing, where you've been, anything along that lines. That's what the indication here is with the 2 of Wands. So the 2 of Wands is saying, hey, I want you to stop what you're doing for this given moment, and I want you to start examining where you are, what you're doing, and where you're going. It's not saying that it's a bad thing. It's not saying anything like you're in a bad place or whatever. It's saying we want you to stop and look and reevaluate. Are you in a place that you want to be? Are you doing the things that you want to do? Or are you kind of stuck out there? Now, the 4 of Cups is in a place of where we look, like our obstacle. And what I'm picking up in here is being bored, being just not so much distracted, but bored. The word that comes up to my head is like cabin fever. And I'm like, many of us know what that is by today. If you've been stuck inside the house for the last couple of days because of crummy weather or whatever, that you feel a little bit of restlessness. My son, I kept sitting like this at home, and I would sit and I'd have my head down, and and I'd place my hands on my head. And my son yesterday was really kind of worried, and he's like, "Mom, are you okay? Are you feeling all right? Are you having some? Mom, are you depressed?" And I'm like, I'm just kind of meditating and clearing my energy. And there's head placements all over the head in Reiki, so I'm like doing these head placements, and and he's like more worried that I am stressed out or whatever. And I'm like, there is so much garbage going on right now. I don't want to leave my house. But I noticed that this morning I was ready to leave my house and come back to work. And people are like, "Oh yeah, but aren't you like creating a little studio, not for seeing clients, but for doing, like online stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not ready yet. I'm still working on it. You got to have things in a specific way for them to feel perfect for you. And once they feel perfect for me, then I'll feel perfect inviting you in to that sacred space." All right, so if boredom is my obstacle, or the realization of boredom becomes your obstacle, then the next card is your help. And I laugh because it's the Fool, and you notice that it's upside down. Sometimes, the Fool card actually has a lot more indication about new beginnings or optimism. Kind of being that goofy person that, they could be right in the middle of a bombing, and they're like, "I know that everything's going to be wonderful and we're going to go and eat cake afterwards." And you're like, how in the hell did you pick that one up? It's optimism, always striving to see the good in something, striving to see the good in something. And we see that this isn't an upside down position, so it's a little bit downplayed in that emotion of new beginnings and optimism, and good things happening through there, and just kind of sitting back and trusting. This is, again, when I'm looking at this card, it's not saying that new beginnings aren't going to happen, or that there isn't some sort of, optimism, or when I'm going to say kind of like, kids kind of always believe, not kids always, but many children will be in a place where they believe in good things. They believe that good things will happen. Their tooth falls out. They believe they're going to put it underneath the pillow, and they believe that the tooth fairy is going to come and bring them something really cool, groovy. That's what I'm talking about, like in this joyful optimism. And through this, it's saying, okay, so your help to this is that you have a quasi nature of seeing things in a beautiful light, or understanding that there is going to be this little bit of struggle, but good comes up out of this struggle. A lot of times we have to go through negative vibrations in order to clear those negative vibrations and allow the good stuff to come forward. Now, some of the things that are going to be working through this, and we've got the Seven of Swords. And I'm like, dang it. The Seven of Swords is kind of, for me, is about things falling apart. But this is what I'm getting. I'm getting the message through here that as we sit back and we start holding on to a more positive or a higher vibration, so let's just say that during this time that we're not complaining about, "Oh, I hate Putin. Oh, I hate Ukraine. Oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate that. I hate Biden. I hate Trump. I hate this. I hate that." And we just totally disregard that. We put all of that bullshit to the side, and we're saying, "I love peace. I love harmony. I love truth. And then we can focus on who vibrates peace, who vibrates harmony, who vibrates love, who vibrates white light, and put the focus on there. We're spending a lot of time putting our focus on the negative crap going on. I hate Biden. I hate Trump. I hate this. I hate that. That we are forgetting about embracing what is beautiful, what is good, what is peace, what is love. That we're having a hard time identifying that in and around us. And that's what this Seven of Wands card is screaming at me on here. It is saying, even though the Seven of Wands is usually about people bailing out and leaving you behind and etc., this is about us as a people, abandoning the bullshit and embracing authentic vibrations, embracing love, embracing peace, calling a warmonger as a warmonger. It's okay. You can say, I'm sorry you're a warmonger and we're not on the same page. I'm sorry you're a hate monger and we're not on the same page. And then we can turn around and go, oh, hey, guess what? We're all in a good space. We're all about peace. Now let's sit down and let's work together on how we're going to achieve that peace. That's what this card is really indicating in this position of where it is, as in the after effects. So we know that we have this energy coming in that's saying, hey, you need to start looking at what's going on around you. Things are falling apart. Things are not in a good place. There's a lot of ugly energy. And what role are you? What role am I? What role are we playing in that ugly energy? Because we can be really producing some really high vibrations together and creating something really beautiful. And I think that that's an important factor. Chance favors a prepared mind. And if you know that there's crappiness coming in, what are you going to do to bring good high vibrations forward? And that's where this beautiful card of Temperance comes in. And it's about balance. It's about being in moderation. It's about being sensible, being focused, having, other people's vibrations at mind when we make a decision or make a choice or move forward with things. I love this card in this particular position because it's like a heed or warning. I don't want to use the word warning, but it's like consejo, when you go to your abuelita's house and you're like, abuelita, que me extraña el corazón, es que yo estoy muy confundida, I'm so confused, my heart and all of this. And grandma says, abuelita dicho, she says this to you, she says, baby, sit back. Baby, I love you. Let's be comforted. Let's look at things in a greater perspective. And let's bring some of that wonderful balance in there and sensibility. Look at things in a more realistic approach. That's why I love grandma. I call it, el consejo de mi abuelita. Advice from my grandma. My grandma was like the coolest ass lady in the world, and you could ask her a question and she would tell you point blank how it was. And she used to give me a hard time because when I was a teenager, I smoked cigarettes, and and somebody would be going to the grocery store. And I would say, hey, pick me up a pack of cigarettes. And they'd go, what do you smoke? And I would say, oh, I smoke Marlboro or whatever. And my grandmother would yell out, no, she doesn't. She smokes OPs, as in other people's. And then I had to say, Grandma, there's not such a brand called OP. And she would look at me and she'd say, honey, you smoke other people's. You don't have a blasted brand. All right. Now, the Five of Swords talks about mind games. The Five of Swords talks about mind games. And I'm getting, I'm going to say it like this, and it's like, not the way I want it to come across. So please love me anyway. Um, when I see this card and it's upside down, it's kind of like we are willingly being mind fucked. Okay, that people are playing with our minds, playing with our energy, something along that lines, and that we are not investing in our own self or using our protection. Using good guidance. We're allowing other people to kind of throw some mind games in our direction, and in essence, that can mess with you and it can eat your lunch. So don't allow mind games. You know, I have to be forced into relaxation sometimes, yes. Yeah, I do know that, Cheyenne. Um, okay, so I gotta smudge this here. Mind games help. No, mind games do not help. Mind games are not good for you. Mind games are another form of narcissism. They're another form of control. They're another form of abuse. Mind games are not good for you. They're not good for me. They're not good for you. They are not authentic. They are not loving. They are not kind. They have a hidden agenda that is something, you're damn right, Stacy, toxic. They want to mess with you. They want to mess with your energy. They want to degrade it so that they walk out holding on to your vibration and you're left behind feeling like crap. So that's a Five of Swords shit right there. And yeah, we can't allow that. We cannot allow these mind games. It's not a welcome slow motion yield sign, baby. Okay, that's not what mind games are. Mind games happen and you don't even know that they're happening. They are screwing with you so much that you feel like you are a horrible person, that you are nothing but the drudge or the dredge of society, that people hate you, that you are not loved, that you are not supported. That's what mind games do. They don't make you a better person. They don't make you look at things in a beautiful way. They make you feel disgusting and dirty. Okay, that's fine. Feel great with it. Enjoy your mind games. But those aren't real relationships. Those are fake. All right, so the next card that's coming in on through this is the King of Wands. Okay, so what have you noticed? We've had a lot of wands, a lot of swords, and a lot of wands today. And the King of Wands is talking about being mature and being passionate and being very, very focused. Take a look at this. Kind of looks almost shimmy. But they're very much in control. I want to say this. This right over here is like a chameleon. And what does a chameleon do? A chameleon can change. A chameleon can change. I know at first I'm like, dang, that little thing looks a little weird. And then I looked at it and I'm like, no, it's a chameleon. Because I'm looking like at the tail through here. Whoops, here, let me get it. So you look like this tail, that's a chameleon. And the message I'm getting in here is that, a chameleon has to be able to adapt and overcome and be a part of their environment at any time. So when I'm looking at this, it's like here is this vibration that can adapt and overcome, but is always in control. I was like, because if you think about it, look right over here where his hand, and what do you call a reptile's hand? I'm just going to call it a hand. Okay, technically, even though you don't see the hand on that rod, that hand is on the rod. He is still in control. But this king, this energy is very balancing and very, very stable, and it's meeting, and this is the way I look at it, it meets the needs in an appropriate way to connect and to be able to bring forth that bring forth that focus, that maturity, um, focus and maturity, good leadership. Sometimes you have to kind of blend in, or not really so much blend in, but work with that energy. Know what group you're working in. Know what group, what who's receiving that message, and that's what's the empowering part on that, is who's receiving that message. One time I was working in as a nurse for a nursing facility, and I got fired. Yeah. I was on vacation, and the director or somebody calls me on the phone. I guess there's something crazy going on and wants me to cut my vacation and come in. And I guess I thought she had hung up, and she hadn't hung up. And I was like, she's crazy if she thinks I'm going to come in early on my vacation. I'm there tomorrow. I'll deal with it tomorrow. So I get there on the tomorrow, and everything's cool till about 10:30. And then my direct boss calls me in, and he's like putting me on suspension for they're going to do an investigation into something. I don't even know. I'm like, whatever. And it was like the next day or 2 days later, I end up getting fired. It was the best termination I ever had in my entire life, and I don't regret anything that I did that put me in that place of being fired. Essentially, this ended up being a nursing center that I busted for all sorts of bull crap going on, from drugs to sex and all sorts of crazy stuff. And I'm like, I'm not going to play into that game. So it was wonderful to get fired from that, and it was the best feeling ever. And then I think it was like a month later, he gets it fired, and then he hires me at another facility. So I'm like, hey, good people were able to come back and work together. But at the end of the day, him being able to adapt and come in and say, I have to fire you, in a way that I didn't take it offensively. And it was really like a freedom. I like that. I like freedom. Oh, I know, definitely. But I love freedom. Okay. All right. So where's this all leading to? So now we know that we're going to have some empowerment in here, and that we're throwing on some balance and being in a good place. And I noticed that this is like three of the three or four of the major arcana. So we've got some heavy messages here. Now, when I see the Hierophant, I kind of think of two things. I think of society, I think of rules, I think of mores, and I think of the implementation of them as well. And I'm like looking, he's kind of coming off like he's kind of a pope kind of guy. He's got the cross and the big old hat like the bishops and stuff. But he's more kind of plainly dressed, as like you would see like as a monk type thing, as maybe a monk or a brethren in, whatever church or whatever, or religious group. And so when I look at this, I get a lot of being... Okay. I get a lot of rhetoric, is what I'm hearing. Rhetoric, rules of engagement. Some rules of engagement we won't like, and we're not going to understand right now, but those rules of engagement actually will allow us to expand in who we are as people and moving forward. Society is going to give us some rules and some regulations and bringing in, I am picking it up as in like this. When you're a little kiddo and your parent tells you don't touch the stove, that's a rule. That's a regulation, because there's actually something really negative going to happen to you when you touch that hot stove. Or don't jump on the bed. That was my thing. I used to jump on the bed, and I broke my nose several times as a little girl. So the same kind of thing is that when they tell us, and this is what I'm getting, is that we're going to get some rules or regulations, some kind of direction that is going to place us where we are a little bit more clearly defined in what's happening and how we're going to engage or interconnect in with that. I like that. We can have, and I would say it like this: if I saw the card upside down, more likely the message would be about total chaos and the lack of order, or the lack of order going on. And in this so this would be, if it was upside down, I'd be thinking, oh shit, we're going to go into the purge. But it was actually straightforward. So I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to get some rules and regulations. I'm not picking it up like a mask mandate type thing. I'm picking it up as in, okay, this is what's going on and this is how we're going to do it. Like being in a fire drill, or a tornado drill, or earthquake drill, whatever it is, knowing how to protect yourself, on how to get through things when there is adversity at hand. Now, I love this next card in essence, because it's kind of, my mom used to, and I'm going to say it like this. This is the Judgment card, okay? And sometimes I'm like, dang it, we sure do have a lot of the major arcana in today's reading. All right, so this is some important information. Judgment is talking about rebirth, creating something brand new, calling it like you see, or calling it as it is. Calling it as it is. I want us to look at this as a little bit more of a personal experience. What are you being called to do? What are you being called to be accountable for? What are you calling into a sense of an accountability? That's what it's looking at. How honest are you with yourself? How honest are you with others? Not going to say any more than that, because this card is about introspection and learning how you will be able to move forward with great success, with great agility, balance, blessings, whatever way you want to look at it. This card is asking us to look inside of ourselves and what are we going to be held, or what are we holding ourselves accountable for? What kind of things are we doing in order to make things a better place or in a better way? The last card, and I'm like, dang, this is like chock full of 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 different major arcana cards. And so what we're looking at here is the celebration, the attainment, the wholeness, kind of like that moment that you realize that you have completed everything on your to-do list, and you're totally psyched and everything's in a good place, and we're buzzing with a good harmony, and flow is happening just like this. That is what this end result is. Yeah, we're going to have to go through some stuff. And yeah, we're going to have to call a loser as a loser as a loser. And yeah, we're going to have to trim back on things that are BS or minutia, that don't really serve us or work for us. In fact, maybe they probably hold us back. And then we're going to be able to take that energy and that focus and flip it and move forward with a greater sense of authenticity, being true to who you are and what you're bringing to the table. So yeah, we've got a little bit of rough waters, but that's okay. You're going to get through it just fine. It makes me think about that And it's kind of like one of those little Christian meme things. And it was like, why are you taking me through the rough waters? And then it says, and God answered, because your enemies can't swim. It's that kind of thing. You're going through some stuff in order to get rid of your enemies, and I'm going to look at enemy as anything that's not good for you, whether it's a bad habit, bad people, a crappy job, a crappy marriage, crappy relationships, a person that you just can't stand, whatever it is, you're going to go through that and you're going to have to let go of those things. They're really uncomfortable to have, but it's more uncomfortable to let that shit go, right? Okay, and it's only uncomfortable because we haven't decided what we're going to put in that place. So when I look at these cards and I'm looking at all of them coming through, it's talking about dropping the shit and moving forward, that losing that dependence on other people's minutia to help us feel fulfilled in who we are. So peace, love, and harmony. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. 9 a.m. sharp. We have Reiki, and we have Reiki at our sacred space. And so you can either join us in person here at the studio or online on Facebook. That's this channel here. Or you can catch up later with it on YouTube, Rumble, all the other little platforms that we use. Hopefully Gabby will be able to be here. That way that if you'd like to be a part of the Reiki share, we would love for you to be here. And then we have a Reiki 1 class at 1 p.m. And that is CPR for the soul. And if you're interested in enrolling, just give me a text, 405-549-3766. And that hellacious online sage sale, it is online on my Cash App only. So no, you can't come in and buy it here. It's a Cash App sale. I mean, yeah, you can pick it up if you want to pick it up and you don't want to have it shipped to you, but it is a Cash App sale on that sage. Okay, Cash App. It's an experiment. So, but it's 5 bundles, $10, Cash App, and it's $, Sacred Space OKC. So peace.